What's up, Rockstars? Today is a huge day, the biggest update I have had in the whole year, in fact in quite some time. We are talking about every single Awakened Realms game that's coming out. I'll be telling you guys more about it, showing you some screenshots, stuff like that. We'll also be talking about a whole bunch of other announcements that are coming. A lot of these on GameFound, we'll be talking about that, plus what just launched just like yesterday. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Okay, so if you didn't know, Awakened Realms does like an Awakened Realms Next, and this was the 2023 version of it where they show everything they're doing. There's a lot of video game stuff I'm not actually going to cover. I'm just going to be covering the board game stuff. Maybe in the future we'll see about, you know, where coverage leads, especially as the two kind of blend together. We get a lot more video games based on board games, we get a lot more app-driven stuff. I don't know where it leads, but for right now, just board games. Let's go ahead and start out with a very interesting one. This is the first one they announced. It's called AR Vault Story Dice. AR Vault is kind of their new thing they're wanting to do where they look at very premium components. In other words, people who want to spend a little bit of extra money to pimp out what they're going to be covering here, but also make it very usable. And they started with story dice. Now, what are story dice? Story dice are these bad mamma jammas here. Not that. That looks, I mean, that'd be cool if they did that, but these are the story dice. And as you can see, they have these little cards. They can actually kind of do stuff with them, which is kind of neat. But you can also use it to accentuate perhaps another game, for instance, like maybe the Space Cat from Nemesis, stuff like that. So a lot of these are used in both their own IP and in its kind of its own little thing. We don't know too much about that, so we're going to be able to have to find that out eventually. But one thing I will say is how genius this is. Because two things. First of all, people love buying dice. You have no idea how much. I mean, maybe you probably do. You're probably one of them because so many people do. People love their dice. They love fancy, neat, interesting dice. You'll see somebody with a cool pair of dice, like at a game night or something like that. If you rolled this out, people would be talking about it. It would be a conversation starter. Just the dice. So I think that's genius. I definitely dig that. It also, it's really cheap for them to make too, which is also really smart. Now, this is more expensive than a normal dice tray or a normal dice would be because most dice are all the same. Maybe you did a little pip or something like that, but either way, it's one mold and they can still do that. This is still going to be very few molds. And one of the reasons why is the size. Dice aren't that big. And every single one of these is single cast. So these are the cheapest minis you can make. Yet people will pay premium for it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying it's a bad deal. I get it. I get it. I love dice too. I have far too many already, and I continue to get more because that's just what we do with dice. I'm saying from a business perspective, this is genius. It is so smart. They're going to make so much money on this, and people are going to love them. It's a win-win. It really is kind of the perfect thing, right? Still fairly cheaper. I guess we'll see. I'll cover if it's not, because it should be cheaper than like if you just bought normal minis, especially compared to their normal miniature expansions, because it's core boxes on expansions, so the price is better that way. And because these are, again, very, very cheap minis to make, because it's all single cast. You etch each side of the mold, you stick it together, and you pump out 100,000 of them, you're good to go. So there's that. But also, the consumers are happy. We get a cool product. We have fun with it. There's versatility in this. One of the things I liked about Beyond the Monolith, not the botched like launch they did or anything like that, or the bad value, but the idea of supporting your existing products. I love the fact that one thing Awakened Realms doesn't do is do one and done, we don't care anymore type games. I really do appreciate the support they have for their games and their continued support. I think that's great. So genius all the way around. I think it's really, really smart. And that's just the beginning. They also announced S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game. Now, I come from a video game background myself. I played and loved and adored video games. And I was a moderator online for video game websites. And I mean, I was deep. I don't know how to do a hobby halfway. I'm full on obsessed with hobbies, hence the YouTube channel. So once I discovered board games, and then I saw, oh man, there's video game board games. Oh man. Yeah. So all I'm saying is I dig it. I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm not actually against video game board games at all. We just need quality ones. Now, Awakened Realms I mean, you know it's going to be quality. It may not be the design you want or the design you like, but it will be somebody else's, and either way, it'll be quality. And I think that's really, really nice to see the S.T.A.L.K.E.R kind of get that level of love. And of course, you know, it's all Polish and stuff like that, so there's going to be a lot of love for it. I am actually, and you might see that I actually followed this one. This will probably be the next Awakened Realms, the thing I actually go to, and I'll tell you why. There was a little funny thing where this didn't say monster. At first it said monster. They forgot the N there, so that was kind of adorable. Again, they're doing this fast and quick. All these are online, so I'm going to show you the other ones. Obviously, the render looks great. It is a render, but Awakened Realms does renders very, very well, and it matches the art. I appreciate that as well, of course. For the most part, like the little straps here are a little bit different, stuff like that. But that's because they want this to actually be able to be molded, and that helps too. So what is this? This is right here, 1 to 4 player zone crawling story experience. Now, what is zone crawling? I'm going to explain that to you guys a little bit, because it's not, I think when some people saw zone crawling, they suspected, and they don't show it here on this page, but I'm going to show you a screenshot from the video where you did see a snippet of it. Kind of like a Tainted Grail thing where you have these cards that are the different zones that maybe you're doing and you're just kind of exploring. No, this is a lot more tactical than that. It's a lot more my style of game. So if you like a lot of the stuff you see behind, if you like the kind of things I like, this might be of interest to you, actually. One of the first Awakened Realms to really, really nail that that style of game. It's going to be a true solo, though, because like S.T.A.L.K.E.R proper, you're going to be able to do that. You're going to be sneaking. You're going to be fighting. How they alluded to it, it sounds like an alarm kind of system, or a system where essentially it's kind of the two-part, right? Earth Under Siege, Flashpoint did this, Reichbusters did this. A lot of these games are doing this, where essentially you start out sneaking and trying to be as quiet as possible for as long as possible, and then crap hits the fan and you have to start shooting, right? And that's the same thing here with S.T.A.L.K.E.R. So you're going to be sneaking around, peeking in windows. How they described it is the map is going to have a whole bunch of question marks, and then you're like discovering what those question marks are and trying to get line of sight to it. Talk about peeking in windows, see how many enemies are in there, stuff like that. You're going to try and like navigate the level as well as possible, and then have a plan and enact that plan. And I think that sounds cool too. Here is a quick snippet of what they call, when they're talking about this, what did they refer to? Zone combat, zone crawling, story driven. Is it looks like you kind of have this zone that you get into based off various tiles and overlays by the looks of it. I believe this seemed like an overlay, though he may have just been working on it, where you kind of put it together, and then you're going through these different areas. You can see different sized areas and stuff like that. And obviously, they're still working on it. You can see they're actually digitally making the art there. But that kind of gives you an idea, at least, of that when it comes to that. And you can see different little icons and stuff that they are putting in here as well to signify different things also. So this looks really good. I am digging this. I love the franchise. There's a new one coming out, so that should be good. It's definitely a cult classic favorite. Never been the blockbuster that other games are, but has been beloved by many, many people. And can be pretty spooky too. It's good. It's good. The enemies look good. I love, like, look how much basing this guy has. There's more basing than character on this, and I appreciate that. I think that looks great. So a lot of story, a lot of decision makings, right? The normal Awakened Realm stuff. This is probably one of my biggest highlights here, though there is one other, which actually, let's go ahead and talk about that right now. Dragon Eclipse was the next one they announced. This is Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. Okay. Again, also excited here. I'll even give it a little follow there. Bam, followed. This one is super neat as well. It's a deck building game. It is 1 to 2 players. So you either play it solo or you play it like as a couple or best friends, or, you know, whatever it is, which sounds great. It sounds like this will hit the table really easily, and I appreciate that. I like the refined scope. This looks to me like it's one of those things where you don't need the minis at all, though. It is very much if you want a hobby with the minis, if you have the money and you want to pimp it out, you can do that, but it might almost seem like a hassle. This is very card driven by what it seems like to me. So what it is you get various abilities and you're leveling up as well, but you can also essentially capture these animals or defeat them. You kind of have to make the choice. Again, sounds very similar to Pokemon. And when you get those, each of them have unique powers, and then you can kind of develop them and gain more powers around them, i.e. level up, evolve, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of the idea there. Now, this arena thing, it sounds like an extra thing. I have almost no desire for that, unless, I mean, it might be good. I am very hesitant with alternate play modes. I'm trying to think if I've ever really had a great experience with an alternative play mode. Typically they're an afterthought, they're an aside, they're a way just to, I guess, do it or whatever. But I have enough games where I can just pick a legit game for it if that's what I want to do. But we'll see. Maybe this plays good because it is that 1 to 2 player kind of thing. And I think that's really the idea. But you go back and essentially you challenge gym leaders or, whatever. So you're just going around and capturing monsters and fighting. Sounds great. Sounds cool. Of course, there's going to be story. Of course, there's going to be all that kind of stuff. And the art style is very non-Pokemon-like. So I do appreciate that too. It definitely looks unique. And they did mention there will indeed be dragons in there. Okay, lastly, we have Nemesis Retaliation. This is going to be obviously a huge thing. I don't have any interest in it. Nemesis is not for me, which makes me very sad because I love the theme, love the style. From what I can tell, if the original was Alien, this is Aliens. And if you've seen that, then I think you understand kind of what I'm going for here. This is essentially like, I think I have it over there, the Black Ops Zombicide Invader, where it's still the horror, like they're saying, you still have all that. However, this is kind of, and what the designer said was probably the last one he works on. It kind of made it a trilogy or a series here. This is the third one, Nemesis 3 essentially, where you come in as Marines. It's not this random guy that happened to be stuck in there in handcuffs or something like that, right? This is, we're going in and we're kicking butt. We came fully loaded. We're going to shoot up some aliens while still maintaining the horror. Now, how they're going to get that balance, I don't know, but I love the idea of it. I really do. And in fact, if I played Nemesis, this might be the version of it. If it sounds like it's a little bit less random, a little bit more targeted, and a little bit more, let's kick some alien butt, maybe I'll feel a little bit more in control and I'll like that as opposed to just, let's see how many bad things can happen to me, which is what the original Nemesis kind of felt like. So yeah, it's going to be huge, obviously. Where that balance is, don't know. We'll see. But I'm sure it's going to do very well, and I'm sure it's going to be high quality. Again, that's kind of obvious. So yeah, that's what that. And again, there's even less information on this. In fact, they didn't want to tell too much. The designer said he's still actively working on this. That's why it's Q4. So a lot can change. But that's the idea. Is a little bit of revenge, a little bit of like let's take the fight to the aliens to kind of capstone the trilogy, as it were. So super cool there. Next up, we have the Hunters AD 1492. This is interesting, and we'll see how good this does. The original Hunters AD was a kind of a sci-fi, close sci-fi, futuristic style game. Very big table hog, but a lot of my patrons really did enjoy their time with it. And this one is obviously evolving that, but then also taking it to fantasy. Therefore, it will sell more. That's typically the case with Nemesis being kind of an exception to the rule there. Often, fantasy is where the money is, and you just look at like top 10 lists of like funded board games, stuff like that, to realize fantasy is where it's at. If nothing else, you can double dip with D&D. A lot more people are interested in it when they're into board games, stuff like that. It goes like fantasy, and then it goes sci-fi, and then it goes modern last, typically. And then you get like the Western stuff as well, which I don't know if I'd necessarily group with fantasy. But anyway, looks good. It does. I worry about the table hog and I worry about it getting to the table. Like I said, one of the things I'm excited about Dragon Eclipses is that it's just this kind of card-based 1 to 2 player. I just want to throw it down on the table and be able to play. That's what I just get so much more gameplay out of it. I really do. I don't have to wait for game night. I can impromptu do it because, hey, I have some spare time. I'll get one of my kids or my wife. We'll play a board game. It's awesome. I love that. So quick setup. I'm all about. We'll see how that is. Next up, we also have D.E.I, an expansion and reprint. If you recall, D.E.I I enjoyed quite a bit. It actually, I saw it has like a 7.8, and I'm sure that's probably some Euro people not liking the fact that you can like kill other units in it too. And I'm not saying it's the best game ever, but I quite enjoyed it. And it kind of was just enough my style game to really, really have some fun with it. And the 3D terrain was super cool too. So very interested in that, at least. But what I do worry about is Ludus Magnus Studio. That's kind of my holdback here. They like to launch a lot of campaigns. They don't like to deliver a lot of games. That is, of course, an issue and one that I'm quite aware of. And it took them a long time to deliver DEI. And as far as I could tell, there wasn't a lot of change from the prototype. It just took them a long time to freaking like print it. There is a new expansion, the Faith and Anarchy expansion. I don't know exactly how that'll change the gameplay or if it's even worth it. I feel like I have quite a bit of DEI already. Like, I don't know how much I really need for it. However, it probably adds another store, and I do like buying cards. So there's that too. But either way, that's on here. If nothing else, you can get the reprint. And hopefully, they can just reprint it quick. And that's a separate thing. It's like a Wave 1 is reprint. Wave 2 is the new expansion. So you can just get a reprint. It's all designed. It's all made. And they can ship it to you real promptly. That'd be nice. That'd be good. So we'll see how that ends up. Next up, what's actually on Kickstarter? What just launched? Well, we got Encounters Shattered Waste. This one, as you see, I've already pledged for. I might upgrade it. Let me explain why I backed it and kind of what's going on here. So if you didn't know, this is essentially a one-shot, quick to the table, again, really like that, boss battler. Something you don't have a lot of options for. Normally, there's a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to that. It is also very much thematically styled after old JRPGs. You even have what you could consider like a limit break system. They call it Shattered here. You can see kind of the pixel art and that kind of thing, the big weapons and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the bosses can also shatter as well, which sounds very cool. I really do dig that. I actually really dig the art. I wish maybe it was a little bit bigger, but it looks like the card combat's pretty good. I dig that. There is some dice. You're tracking all the different stats that you might have, and you're fighting this boss and trying to essentially conquer him. But so you pick a boss, you pick your characters, you toss them on there, and you play. I do dig that. Also, Jeremy Howard from Man vs. Meeple also liked it, and therefore I kind of am interested too, because I know we do share some taste when it comes to the board games. But if you watch his video on Man vs. Meeple, and I'll try and link to that down below. If I didn't, let me know, of course. Anyway, he actually talked about how he sought this out. He saw an advertisement for it on Facebook and was like, I want to know more about it, and then kept pursuing it and wanted to do it, as opposed to it feeding in from the pipeline of, hey, here's a paid preview, just, you know, show this game off, hopefully you like it. So that is quite good. I like the exception to the rule and stuff like that. We'll see. It has 15,000 right now. It needs 25,000. It just launched, so it does have a very long campaign, 23 days to go. That can be a benefit. It can be a con. It depends on how well they can keep people engaged in the 23. What you don't want to do is start losing people off, right? Because of the lull and the excitement wears off and stuff like that. So you want to kind of lock it in and typically have a really strong one. So I don't know how they're going to do with that. We'll see. But I do like the idea of it. I like, again, a quick boss battler. The reason I did the 55 is because the other option here, I'll show you right now. So you get all these standees, right? No minis when it comes to this, just standees, and you're kind of playing on the board and stuff like that. Okay, so you get that. Or you can do the 125. Again, it's a big jump. That's a big jump to the deluxe edition. You get foil character cards. Love it. Love foil cards. The box, don't care about that. The box looks gorgeous. Though I bet half of the boxes I have here changed art. Like, rarely do they show the art you end up with in these Kickstarters. But if they do, that's a sweet looking box. Acrylic standees for both the enemies and the characters. So that is pretty big. I'm trying to think, does it list how many here? You get 16 character, and then you get 16 enemy. So that's not a lot, right? In fact, what you're seeing here is pretty much all of them. And then, of course, you get some really nice shattered dice versus the normal dice. I really hate the wooden dice thing. I don't like that at all. And then, of course, you still get the standees and stuff as well, and a neoprene playmat. So you do get some nice stuff there. Here's some pictures of them. They do look very nice. Of course, the standees look great. I do like that. I don't, 125 for that? That's an expensive upgrade. I feel that's not priced well, which is kind of a bummer. That being said, that's what most people back, because most people see the most expensive, the nicest one, they click back, and then they're done. But I think if it was a little bit cheaper, a little bit less of a cost upgrade to that, you can see the counts right there, that would really, really help. Now, maybe if they actually do end up getting stretch goals and they add more and more acrylic cities, that might make it more and more worth it. But the problem is you need to have a day one benefit. You need to be like, day one, why, like this is a great deal, and then it just gets even better later on. It doesn't need to just eventually become a good deal. And I feel right now that's not exactly a great deal. That's actually like really pricey. Like 125 for this, I don't see it. I don't think that's priced very well. And then there is one add-on. You can get some alternate colors for it. You could use it for like a shattered version or just an alt for that. And then, of course, as you can see later on, they will be adding location cards, stuff like that. But again, will they get to even 40,000? I don't know. They also have some music that sounds really, really cool, and I dig that. And a lot of previews, you can check that out as well. Actually, let's see, Man vs. Meeple. Nope, right here. So this is probably it right here. So go and check this video out. Now I don't have to link to it, perfect. You can follow the link I have to this and everything else down in the description below to get there. And Age Contrived, I covered this for quite some time actually when it was advertising, because their advertising got me. Their advertising was like, expect more from your board game. I was like, yes, indeed, expect more. Don't settle for all this crap. You're giving some good money away. They're making money. They're feeding their kids off your money, and therefore you should get something good in return. If you're paying them, expect more. So I do dig that. They also are doing some kind of neat things. However, it is very much a Euro game, which means I am not interested in actually playing it. It does have some cool looking minis that seem smartly designed too when it comes to cost effectiveness and interest. So yeah, you can see here, engine building, resource programming, chaining combos. Coughing. So a lot of people like it. I get that. There is one thing that kind of bothers me though. So first of all, 72-hour early bird. You get these enamel painted metal tokens. That sounds pretty cool. I like the word hefty in there. That was very smart marketing. So again, magnetic monuments. That's kind of cool. You build them piece by piece, but it seems like they just kind of snap in there. So it's easy. You're not fussing around with trying to like wedge them in there and make an indent, stuff like that. Resource programming, then you have the action chaining, and then you have the engine building. I know a lot of you guys love these words. Positive player interaction. That was kind of cool. I kind of dig that. Essentially, like, hey, we're all building this together, but the person that completes it gets the biggest one. But either way, it's still a positive experience when you're interacting with each other. And then asymmetric powers, and it looks like very symbol based there as well. $65. That's great. Like, that is a nice price for what you're getting here. That looks quite good. You still get the minis at that too. And that's, again, I feel that's what hurts this so much. It's just the cost just seems way wonky compared to what other people are doing. $99 gives you all this, where you get a whole bunch of nice little stuff there. You even get to personalize your game, which is kind of cool. I dig that. And then for $120, so again, less than the cost here, you get even more minis, and you get a lot of different trackers and stuff like that you're getting as well. So it just seems like better here. Now this is where I'm kind of hesitant, and it's a fine line. It's a fine line. Okay, why back now? I love this. Access exclusives, best value, bring it to life, first of their kind components. I dig all that. You will miss out. That is a direct attack on FOMO, and I don't know how I feel about that. It says, in order to deliver as quickly as possible, we will not offer late pledges to anyone who does not buy the Kickstarter campaign. So keep that in mind. If you want this, FOMO the crap out of it, because now is your chance. There is currently no path to a wide retail release for this game. Now is your best opportunity to get this. Again, it's really hard because you want people to know, hey, we're not like this is a very limited run, while not just like pushing it to 11. I feel that's a little too strong of a push. I feel that's really just saying right out front, like, back now or like regret it later. It's too on the nose to me. It gives me an icky kind of feeling. So that's probably the one standout of this whole thing. Otherwise, everything else, I think it looks great. I really don't like that sort of advertising. I think there's a much more positive spin you can put on that. The fear of missing out is a negative thing. It's you don't want to miss this. Everybody else is going to be enjoying it, and you're going to miss out. And I feel you could focus more on the positivity of bringing this to life in a limited run, and even mention the possibility of a future run if it's successful, which again means that they need to back now, without just being like, hey, you're never going to be able to have a chance to get this again. Now's the time. Act now. Don't think about it. Just do it. Like, don't like that. That being said, 120 out of 30. The 30 is bogus, but the 120 is good. So they are definitely kind of strong there. A new table. What is with all these table campaigns? I swear, guys, there are so many. There are a dime a dozen. This one, though, I don't think it's going to make it. I really don't. They have 9 backers, and I can see why, because it looks like a great idea, and they're trying to do things that are smart, but I don't think they quite nailed it. Let me explain. Okay, so 10 backers. Maybe they will. Maybe we'll see. They only have a 10,000 goal. I don't know if they can do it for 10,000. It really depends. Okay, so first of all, what is this? Well, it's a little tiny table here that has like these LED strips here and this little touch button that you can do to turn them on and change them and stuff like that. They do have this extra little table on top that you can also do, and these pull-out trays that hold various things. So there's a few bits here that I want to kind of point out. First of all is the actual trays themselves. I feel like actually that and the vault just seem a little low. So you can see that you push them and you pull them out. I think that's fine. But what I suspect, what you don't see anybody doing is see how like he moves his hands out. I feel people are going to want to lean on that, and I don't think that hinge is going to support a good lean, especially if you hold your arm down. Hey, it's a good thing the table's kind of in there. If you hold your arm down to lean in and you're pushing off that, I feel like you're going to hear a crack. Right, so I'm not confident in that at all. Additionally, you see how she sets the cup there? It is a extremely shallow cup holder. Now the wine works great, right? It's a little slide in there, and you can do that, and maybe you can pour your soda in a little wine glass and be all fancy with that with your Coke can. But as far as a cup holder is concerned, I think this is pretty much useless. Pretty much a useless cup holder there. It would need to be a lot thicker, which again would mean that this little pull-out thing would need to be quicker. So I don't even know if they really can do that well. So I think those are two big things for me that just aren't going to work out. Everything else, like I like the little token snack thing there. I like the little wireless holder there. That's cool. I dig that with the wireless charging. It's definitely feature rich. You see, you can turn on the LEDs there. It also looks to be maybe an inch well. Like, I don't think it's a 2-inch well. So that one right there is a very small well, though you can roll dice. It does do that fine, but it's a 2-inch well. Stuff like Wormwood and stuff, I believe, do almost like a 4-inch well. And you can get some, I think, up to like a 6-inch well, which is almost too much. At that point, you're like really digging in there. But this is not something we're going to keep anything with minis on there. In fact, even meeples might start getting a little big, depending on what they are. So it's very, very small. When it comes to that. So I like how sleek it is. I like all that. And you see, it says dice not fall. First of all, that's not even English. And also high walls, that is not a high wall at all for a board game table. In fact, that's one of the smallest I've seen. So they have some cool ideas. I do dig it. Like I appreciate that a lot. It just, and then the price. Okay. So as you can see, it's a very kind of just square coffee table more thing. It won't hold a lot of these bigger games like you see behind me. It's just not big enough, even with putting the player trays out and stuff like that. And as you can see right here, you can kind of see the two sizes and heights there, right? The issue really here is the cost. So you can get the digital files for $79 and have somebody else make it for you. That's kind of cool. I dig that idea. I think that's awesome because it also means you get to support a local woodworker, which is super cool. And it means you can really customize the type of wood and all that kind of stuff. That's awesome. I'm really glad they're willing to do that. I wish more companies would. It's like offering the S.T.A.L.K.E.R of your miniature so you can print it at home. It means you can get it done real quick. You can customize a lot of it. In fact, they should be able to even adjust it. Any woodworker, I imagine, can when it comes to custom height and stuff like that. Like, I love it. I think that's cool. I really do. And maybe it means you can custom make those hinges better to really support people leaning on it. But I mean, gamers can get kind of big, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, like, how much weight can you really support there? Or cheapest $6.99, and that is with a $250 to $450 shipping fee, and it ships from Europe, so the US is probably about $450. That's getting pretty expensive. That for what it is. I feel that's getting pretty expensive there. So yeah, we'll see. I like some of the things really turn me off. So it's not something I'll be backing, at least. Next up, last one, Back Go Beyond, Tales of Blood Salt. What makes me cover this, because this is a Euro game with a lot of meeples, you're just being a pirate and building up your crew and doing that kind of thing. I feel like that's been done a lot in board games. Now, whether the mechanics are cool or not, I don't know. But you could say that the same with Cthulhu. And Cthulhu Death May Die did a very interesting take on Cthulhu that you weren't getting in a lot of other games. So the theme, while it seems kind of typical pirate stuff, could still play very interestingly. I don't have a good line of sight to those Euro pirate games, but I do know Darkest Dungeon was a fantastically designed game that I enjoy quite a lot, and this is from the same designer, so that's cool. Essentially, they've been like, hey, let's abandon ship Mythic games, let's do this Fabled Games stuff. And yeah, you guys, I guess, let me know if this seems like something of interest to you, especially those of you who play these types of games. Again, it won't be me, but this just launched as well. They're wanting 36. They've gotten 13. Will they make it? I don't know. We'll find out together. Guys, that's it. That's all I have. I know there's a ton of new stuff there, but super duper exciting as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon with some more unboxings, some more reviews. You might see Scarface 1920 right there. Expect some stuff around that. Maybe even some painting videos, because I can finally airbrush. Maybe I'll be playing around with that. You guys can give me some pointers on how bad and average I am at that as well. Guys, take care.